We're taught that helping others is noble, that kindness is always right. But what if helping the wrong people is slowly draining your energy, your peace, and your purpose? Because not everyone deserves your lifeboat. Let's begin. They always have a problem, and never a solution. No matter how much you help, it's never enough. The perpetual victim thrives on sympathy. They don't want advice, they want attention. They're not looking for a hand up. They're looking for an emotional crutch. Helping them doesn't heal them. It enables them. And while you pour your energy into fixing their world, they remain exactly where they are. By choice. You know the type. They call you only when they need something. They vent. They unload. They drain. But when you need them? Silence. These people don't see you. They see utility. A free therapist, a convenient shoulder, and after they're done feeding off your empathy, they disappear until the next crisis. True friendship is mutual. Emotional leeches only take. They never follow through, never take responsibility. Always pointing fingers, always blaming life, fate, or others. You offer guidance, support, second chances, and still nothing changes. Because their comfort lies in avoiding growth, not embracing it. You can't help someone who's allergic to accountability. 3 types down, 4 more to go, but already perhaps. Some faces are coming to mind. This isn't about judgment, it's about self-protection. You are not heartless for setting boundaries. You are not cruel for conserving your energy. In fact, learning who not to help is the first step toward truly helping yourself. The perpetual victim, the emotional leech, and the chronic excuse maker. But there are still more subtle, often well-meaning individuals who unknowingly sabotage your peace of work and their own. They don't always mean harm, but every time you grow, they shrink. So they make sarcastic remarks. They question your ideas. They downplay your efforts, all while smiling. These are the people who pretend to support you, but secretly resent your evolution. Helping them? It often looks like staying small so they feel comfortable. But dimming your light doesn't brighten theirs. It only makes you both blind. They call it loyalty. But what they mean is, you owe them. You're expected to show up again and again, whether you're exhausted, broke, or broken. But when you need them, they're too busy. Something came up, or they simply vanish. Helping should be a two-way street, not a one-man marathon. They give, they help, they sacrifice, and then, they remind you constantly. Their generosity comes with invisible strings tied to guilt, to control, to emotional debt. This isn't help. It's a transaction masked as kindness. And every time you accept, you become a little more owned. You see their potential, their pain, their story, so you pour yourself into their healing. You become their lifeline, their mentor, their cheerleader, but they never move. Because deep down, they don't want to be fixed. They want to be rescued. You cannot carry someone who refuses to stand, and saving them often means losing yourself. Your energy is currency. Spend it where it grows. They told you setting boundaries makes you selfish, that saying no is rude, that putting yourself first is wrong. But here's the truth. Setting boundaries isn't cruelty. It's clarity. It attempts not betrayal. It's self-respect. Without boundaries, you become blurred. You absorb moods that aren't yours. You take responsibility that was never meant to be yours. You become the emotional sponge in every room, soaking up what others spill. But boundaries redraw your outline. They say, this is mine to carry. That is not. Every yes to someone else is a no to something inside you, your peace, your goals, your mental bandwidth. Boundaries are not about closing your heart. They're about conserving your power, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And you shouldn't have to. When you set a boundary, you're not pushing others away. You're inviting in only what aligns with your worth. You're not rejecting people. You're rejecting patterns that diminish you. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Boundaries are the syllabus. Yes, you might feel guilty, especially if you were raised to equate self-sacrifice with love. But guilt is not the same as wrongdoing. Sometimes, guilt is just the echo of your old programming. Let it echo, and then let it pass. Because peace is the reward on the other side. Boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges with toll booths. You decide who crosses. You decide the cost. And if someone is offended by your boundaries, chances are they were benefiting from your lack of them. Protecting your space is not selfish. Preserving your peace is not mean. And loving yourself loudly is not arrogance, Itao TM's alignment. This is your life. You don't owe access to anyone who can't handle it with care. But one thing still stands in your way. Guilt. Today, we break that cycle. This is part 4 of our series, How to Set Boundaries Without Feeling Guilty. Let's begin. Feeling guilty doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It often means you are doing something new, especially if you've been conditioned to prioritize others over yourself. But guilt is not your compass. Your values are. Honor your values, and the guilt will fade. You don't need to over-explain. You don't owe a 10-paragraph essay. Try phrases like, I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me. I need time to recharge. Direct doesn't mean harsh. Clarity is kindness for both of you. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries won't applaud you for setting them. They might push back, get quiet, act hurt. But that AOTM is their discomfort, not your burden. You're not responsible for their feelings. You're responsible for your truth. Start small. Decline a call when you're tired. Say no without justifying it. Protect 1 quiet hour each day just for you. Each boundary you set becomes a building block. Soon, you're not just setting boundaries. You're embodying them. Instead of asking, did I upset them? Ask, did I honor myself? Instead of feeling bad for saying no, feel proud that you finally did. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're invitations for healthier, more honest relationships. And yes, that includes the relationship with yourself. When you choose boundaries over burnout, you stop abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. And slowly, the guilt dissolves, replaced by peace, by clarity, by strength. You did the hard thing. You set the boundary. You protected your space. And then it happened. They got angry, distant, cold, or worse, iwao. They made you feel like you saw TM or the bad guy. Let's talk about what happens when people don't like your boundaries, and why that reaction is not your responsibility. People who relied on your silence will not celebrate your voice. People who were comfortable crossing your lines won't thank you for drawing them. Their resistance doesn't mean your boundary is wrong. It just means it's working. Some won't take your first no seriously. They'll push back, negotiate, try guilt, humor, or passive aggression. But this isn't a debate. It's a decision. You don't need to defend your boundary. You need to enforce it. Yes, some people will walk away. Yes, it might hurt. But ask yourself, were they really there for you, or for what you gave them? Letting go of one-sided relationships isn't loss. It's release. Every time someone exits because of your boundary, they make space for those who will honor it. Boundaries are not loud acts of rebellion. They are quiet acts of self-respect. Over time, you'll notice you're less exhausted, more clear-headed, less anxious when your phone rings, more aligned with your own values, not someone else's expectations. This is what peace feels like. If your boundary cost you a relationship, it wasn't a relationship. It was a transaction. You don't have to apologize for growing, for protecting your energy, for finally choosing you. This was never about them. It was always about you. Coming home to yourself. Thank you for joining this 5-part journey. If you've made it here, you're not just learning boundaries, you're becoming them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it.